Welcome to Southorpe Meadow. I'm Jules, I'm a Reserves Officer for the Wildlife Trust, and I'm joined by local botanist Sarah Lambert, and we're going to take you through the management and the botanical interest on this wonderful triple SI. So the main management that we have here is we graze it with sheep. So before that can start, one of the main things we spend quite a lot of time doing is making sure all the fencing is stock proof. We do a bit of spraying, so we spray mainly creeping thistle, spear thistle and ragwort, and then end of July, beginning of August time, we'll get a hay cut. So we do a hay cut so that we can suppress the dominant unwanted species that we have here, like the hogweed and the cow parsley, and it just gives a chance for the rarer stuff to grow. The cuttings are taken off as we don't want to add any nutrients to the soils. And then after the hay cut, we then bring the sheep in. We have around about 50, and they usually graze from about August till about end of September, sometimes a bit longer, but again that's weather dependent. We also monitor here, so we do a rapid grassland assessment every 3 years, just to make sure that we're still getting the species that we want. So we sometimes also, every few years, will manage the hedges. So we've got quite a lot, we've got hedges all the way around the site. We want to make sure that the scrub doesn't encroach into the grassland. We also want to make sure that we can still get to the fence to do fence checks and fence improvements.
Southorpe Meadow is one of my favourite sites. It's a ridge and furrow meadow. I think you can probably see the buttercups picking out the ridges and the furrow. It was managed as a part of the open field system back in medieval times, but it's been permanent grassland since that time, and have variously been hay cut as Jules has described, and grazed at periods, giving a really species rich sward. But in front of us is a really nice little patch of the slightly damper sward. You can see the purple spikes of bugle. There's a cowslip still just about flowering. Again, lots of meadow buttercup, sweet vernal grass, plantain, yellow rattle, and we've actually got common knapweed coming up over here, and lots of red clover. And we finally found the first adder's tongue fern. This is an example of it. So it is a member of the fern family, but it's not very small, grows in unimproved grassland, and in fact it is a really good indicator of undisturbed grassland. We're just on the edge of one of the ridges at the moment, on nicely free draining soil, and we've got some bird's foot trefoil. It grows in a variety of neutral to calcareous grassland. So we're just looking at one of the furrows at the moment where you get the different flora, more wetland species, and the dominant plant in this particular furrow is great burnet. This is a plant that's actually very characteristic of flood meadows. We're now at the northeast corner of the reserve, and the land actually raises slightly here, and the limestone's a little bit closer to the surface, so we've got more species that are actually characteristic of limestone grassland as well as the neutral grassland ones. Salad burnet, and this is very closely related to the great burnet, but much smaller. The leaf is also very dainty, but there's quite a lot of lady's bed straw, yellow flowers a bit later in the summer. We've also got, within here, we've got a little bit of upright brome grass, and this is another one that at Barnack, it's one of the dominant species of grass. Here it's growing with the sweet vernal grass, more neutral soils, showing that the underlying soil is somewhat sort of intermediate, but a really nice species rich area, more herbs than grass. So this is one of the star species of the reserve. This is a green-winged orchid. It's one of the classic indicators of unimproved neutral grassland, and it's, like many other neutral grassland species, it's declined enormously in lowland Britain, and it's now considered to be vulnerable in England. This is the only population of green-winged orchid in the Peterborough area. And this is a southern marsh orchid. This is actually a classic of its kind, so the leaves have no spots on them. and the flowers, that lovely deep intense pink, and the bottom lip of the flower, it has no sort of loops on it. The spots on it just splay out quite evenly, and it's quite a rhomboidal shape. This could be a hybrid with common spotted orchid, but the taxonomy of marsh orchids is quite complicated, and there are different views about what constitutes a southern marsh orchid. So in the UK flora, southern marsh orchid doesn't have spots on its leaves, but there's some view that certainly in Europe some of them do have spotted leaves. The one next to it doesn't have any spots at all. So quite a lot of variation just in a short space. So this is a particularly interesting one in full flower. This is definitely a hybrid orchid. If you look at the leaves, but the spots are like rings, almost like leopard spots, and that is usually associated with hybridisation. And the flower is quite a deep pink, but the spots on the bottom lip actually loop back on themselves, which is a characteristic of both common spotted and early marsh orchid.
So as we've been walking around, we've noticed that there's very little creeping thistle, spear thistle, which shows that the spraying we've been doing has been working, the hay cutting and then the aftermath grazing has been working really well.
Well, we've had a lovely walk round this afternoon, seen lots of interesting things. The meadow's actually at its best from about mid-June onwards, and particularly this year as it's a late season. And if you come along in that period, you should see plenty of the marsh orchids flowering, and they'll be joined by pyramidal orchids, lots of ladies' bed straw, and right through until the hay cut there'll be interest.
Please do come and visit. It does cost money to manage, so if you think about joining us or donating to the Wildlife Trust, we really appreciate all support we get from members, from the public. It is very much appreciated.